So the kids, when do you say no?
When do you say no, we not gonna go forth with it? And when does the artist that you're sampling say no? Is it sometimes they don't like the content? Because I think some of the kids think that if they pay for the sample, it'll get cleared. Does sometimes the artist, no matter what you're gonna pay, they say no, I don't like the record, the content, so I'm not clearing it? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. There are some artists that just don't want to clear because they don't want to mess with the integrity of what they laid for their own legacy.
Okay.
There are some people that, okay, they'll sample gospel records, but gospel music is worship music, and you're turning around and talking about debasing things on that. Of course, they're not going to want to turn around and say, okay, cool, just use it. You know, so it does depend on the situation. I know that there are some drum loops now that you have to pay for sample usage on.
Even if you chop the drums?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Funky Drummer being one of them. And that's a very notable drum loop. But you're not going to do that and use it without paying, James Brown's estate.
Especially impeach the president. You can't even get away with that one no more. That's probably the most used break.
And it's dope, no matter how you splice it, but it's,
We used to call that the cheat drums. Like, if you want to make a hit record, use Impeach the President, Substitution,
Ashley's Roach Clip.
Yep. And then Skull Snaps.
Skull Snaps.
Yeah, you always got away with that. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite drum break?
Skull Snaps. Skull Snaps is my favorite drum break because it was my best friend. He was a MC. He still is an MC, but back in the day he was somebody I looked up to, and I wanted to write like him. But every time he wrote a rap, he never wrote to the beat I would give him. He would write to Skull Snaps, and he would just put it on and just be looping and looping and looping, and he'd write crazy rhymes with different cadences and different flows, and he just knew that beat backwards and forwards, and that was his favorite loop. So I think I just really kind of got near and dear to that loop because of that.
You what's that elusive collaboration that's been getting away from you that you're dying to do?
Mary J. Blige.
Wow. Can you take her back to my life? You think you can do it?
I would love to see that Mary come back. Her voice, no matter what she sings, her voice brings you back to a time. It's almost like a scent in the air as well. Like, she's just that distinct. And I've always wanted to work with her. And it just seems like we'll be in the same places, sometimes in the same room, and just we could not connect. So
that's R&B. What about a rapper? That's you just like, yo, I got the perfect joint for him.
Biggie Smalls.
Wow.
Always wanted to work with Biggie Smalls. I had the pleasure of working with Eminem. Okay. And he's one of my favorite rappers. And I had the pleasure of having a couple of songs that JayZ actually wrote on. One being the You Already Know. He wrote Foxy Brown's verse, and he's written on some other things. So the truth of the matter is, it was Biggie Smalls. Like, I always thought he was amazing, and I just wanted to do some records with him.
Who blew your mind in the studio that you work with that was like, wow, they work fast and they are incredible in person? Like, I can't even believe that you are that professional.
Marsha Ambrosius.
Wow.
I love her. That's my sister. And the first time we worked together, I put a track on, and I walked out of the room and came back, and she was on the mic doing the finishing touches. Like, and it wasn't even 15 minutes later, she wrote the song and was already cutting her leads and backgrounds. I think she's ridiculous. I don't even know if she's human. Like, she's ridiculous, and it's nothing to her to write a song. Once she gets it, it's a wrap.
Give us a story before we go of an artist that passed on a beat and you gave it to somebody else and it ended up being a hit.
Oh, you already know.
Who passed on that?
It was for an artist that I had that we had signed at Aftermath. His name was Antonio. Okay. And it was on one of my beat CDs, and for some reason it just kept getting looked over, and then the moment that I did it on 112, it went crazy.
Have you ever got one of your beat mixtaped and you was furious about it?
All the time. All the time. Yes.
How do you combat that?
I try to establish a relationship with the artist that did it. It's funny because even recently it's happened, but the record is getting so much love that, I wouldn't stop it, but it can scorn you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is one of those things that you're just like, all you had to do was call me.
Is it a record we know?
Out. Yeah.
You got that rather not say look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like dragging anybody's name through the mud, and especially because we spoke about it.
Okay.
But even with 50, I did I don't know how he got the Beat CD, but we were all part of the same family, being an Aftermath. But when he did the disc record, The Game, it's like when there was an internal conflict like that, the last thing I want to do is pick a side. You know what I'm saying? I got love for all of you guys, and at the end of the day, I have respect for all of you guys. So I wouldn't have produced a disc record to Game because Game was my guy. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have even turned around and produced a disc record to Fifth, because Fifth was somebody that I really admired, especially coming out of New York and doing what he did. So at the end of the day, I just, when those things happen, I do have my way I feel about it, but,
All right, I just want one secret from you. What drum machine does Dr. Dre use?
A drum machine?
Yeah.
The MPC 3000.
And he's still hardware.
Oh, bro, they're everywhere.
So you're Logic, and he's still MPC 3000.
Yeah, what we do, if we need to turn around and marry, this isn't a secret. Like, everybody has seen the inside of the studio. We all Snapchat and do our Instagrams. But there's MPCs everywhere, and
in the bathroom and in the kitchen. Like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But they're everywhere, and I think even with me, I still have my MPC 3000. It's very important. It's a brain, and it's a sensor, and it's something that we understand, and it feels good, and so we still use that.
So let me ask you, the drums that you use, those are breakbeat drums, and you just tune them, like. Because I'm just amazed, like, how did he get that snare to sound like that? Especially you and Dre, like, Lost One drums. I'm like, what drums are those?
I love that beat. I think that, Dre is meticulous when it comes down to mixing.
Okay.
The snare that I used on Where I'm From, I didn't mix that song. Dre mixed that song. But the snare that I had was such a small... It was a small hip-hop snare that I grabbed from a record. So it still had dirt and grit on it. But Dre turned around and mixed it and made it a whole new snare. That's all outboard gear and SSL. So he made a whole new snare. And when I heard it, I was like, did y'all replace my snare? He's like, no, that's your snare.
So could you tell the kids that they need, like, reverb and they need gate and all that on their snares and drums?
It's important. Like, I'll give you guys a secret that I've been using all of my career.
Here we go.
There's a bundle from Waves called the Renaissance bundle. I use Arvox. The Arvox gate on my snares and on my kicks. It's the loosest, most articulate gate there is. It'll give you the snap on your snare, and it gives you a perfect release so it's not clipping. Try it. I promise you, you will never use another gate.
All PayPal donations go to because y'all just got that.
Yeah.
And has it ever been a time where you seen somebody had to play the live drums and you sampled the live drums, or how does that work?
100 times.
Wow.
100 times. Like, we have one of the, to me, in the industry, we have one of the greatest pocket drummers and one of the best drummers in the industry with Trevor Lawrence Jr. His pocket is ridiculous, and there's been many times where he turns around and he does something, whether it's on an electronic kit where he's triggering his own sounds, or he's on a real kit and we just go back in and sample and chop it all up. It's not just me, it's all of us. He's really that dope.
So before we go, what do you have available coming to the people, or you have available now?
I'm working on some new music that should be coming out in a few months. So definitely look out for that. I'm not trying to be like, like the Beyonce and the Drake and just coming out of nowhere, but I don't want to speak on anything until I'm really almost done with it, and I'll make sure that I bring it out. And I definitely want to make sure that you guys know about my production team, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the Olympics, Analogic, Claudio Audio, and Aaron Sumlin. And I'm really trying to push their music out to the masses because they're amazing. and that's really what I'm focusing on right now. And of course, all the stuff over at Aftermath. So definitely check us out.
Can you make a drum kit just for sale for everybody?
I've made several drum kits, and people just kind of sleep on them.
For sale?
Yeah.
Where are they available at?
They were on my at one time they were on my website, but then I put them on Bandcamp, and people just kind of slept on them. So right now I have one at iStandard that has been down there. That's probably my first one. I have another drum kit over at dynamicproducers.com, and then I'm gonna put out kicks and snares again. That's my for real drum kit through SSL with my engineer, my old engineer, Filtrate, Oscar Ramirez. He used to get me right. My drums were ridiculous.
So you told me the YouTube beat that you made. What was that drums again? The one you made for I forgot. That I love. That I tell you I love the beat that you made on YouTube.
That one. All of that stuff wasn't even fine tuned. Those drums were my drums.
Wow.
That I was using in California, and I just turned around and put them in my MPC 3000, and all of that's Mackie. That's really all analog.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's how real it is. The beats knocking so hard, the chair release. See that?
So yeah, that's all of that was still analog. All of that is just EQ.
All right. So give them all your social networks.
If you want to reach me, you hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's all Focus, the number 3 DOTS. Focus 3 dots. And my website is www.focus, the number 3 dots.com.